Hi everyone, welcome to Paycheck to Power. Today's guest is Dr. Patricia Francis, the GBS Director that has led multiple MNCs and the Malaysia Advisory Council Chairperson for ACCA. Welcome on board, Pat.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me start with a question that many are curious about. Have you ever imagined making six figures when you first graduated?
Not really, actually. I thought it would take very long time for me. But then with the twist of my career moves, it has actually got me to where I am.
Okay. Very curious about this. I think they always say you need to have the first 100K first, right? Your first 100K, when and how did you do it?
Okay, I think if I recollect well, my first 100K was definitely cumulative effort over the years. And I don't think it was so early because of the spending power that I had at that point. So I think it would took me almost 8 to 10 years. That's when I got my first 100K. Of course, that is the net amount, right? Yeah. So that's when it happened.
For someone that make their earning through paycheck, a first 100K in 8 to 10 years is not easy, right? Because you take into consideration the cost of living,
Yes.
the cost that for learning, training in your career direction, career growth. Wow, it's a great milestone, Pat.
Thank you.
Before we deep dive into your career journey, I would like to go back a little to your early environment. Like back then, what is your path like? What helped to shape you to who you are today?
All right. So after completing my ACCA, I started off the normal route where I joined the Big Four and started off my career in the audit. And that's when I realized that, I really love interaction with people. And then, of course, you have to go through the normal grill, I would say, where, after audit, then you go into practicing as an accountant. And then I started to question myself, like, yes, I love numbers, I love the job as an accountant, but then I could do more. And that's when I decided to branch out into consulting. And I think that's where I managed to hone my soft skills in that sense, and in terms of like problem solving, critical thinking, and moving more into business support and business partnering. And I think that's where the value lies, because having a credential is one thing, but how are you able to apply that into the job that you do and to bring value to organization is where I think it builds your earning power.
Pat, you have Big Four, and then you went into consulting, and then in-house part, right? Client. It's a 3-in-1 package, in the market. I mean, I'm a headhunter myself. This sort of experience are not easy to come by. Was it a planned career direction, like planned career strategy, or the opportunities just happened to come by?
Okay, so I think I planned to become a consultant, and that was it. But I think opportunity came knocking at the door because I was working with one of the clients, and then the leadership actually saw my passion in the GBS space, and that's how I got myself into an in-house role of leading a regional transformation project, and then with a succession plan of taking over the lead role. So I think I'm very grateful for that opportunity as well.
Do you recall a moment when you make a career decision, it seemed risky at the time that people around you was telling you, hey, it's a bad idea, but it turned out the otherwise more than all right?
Yes. I think if I look back, it's the part where I chose to go into consulting, because as a typical accountant, it was so difficult to go in directly into Big Four consulting because I don't have the skills or experience that they needed. Hence, I chose to take a leapfrog into the local consulting space, which is the solution integrator. And that's where actually I got in touch with a very good leader who really invested in my growth and into sending me for like high impact presentation, critical thinking, negotiation skills. And I think this was really the game changer for me, where I was able to really apply the soft skills into the work that I do. And that's where I think the value started to happen, or rather the magic started to happen.
So mentorship, it's important. But,
definitely.
Right. I was just thinking, wanted to ask a question that many had in mind. Was it a company reputation or the position they are in, or mentorship that's more important? What will help accelerate your career growth?
Okay, I think personally branding is really critical. I think I was really fortunate because starting with my qualification itself, ACCA gave a really international recognition, and also it's like an international passport to get you even mobility across the globe. So that was the first thing. And then ability to join the big four and then big brands. That was really something where, because people know it's not easy to join the big guys. And so if you actually come with that expertise, they know that you have gone through the grill and, you have actually delivered some results to be able to move on.
Yeah.
So I would say branding is really critical. And at the same time, what I have actually really focused on building is the transferable skills. So it doesn't matter what industry you go to, all those skills are really needed. Yeah, so it doesn't stagnate me to, have to stay into one area, but it allows me to grow my wings or rather pursue other opportunities as well.
Understand. I think where you are today, Pat, has already proven your theory on and put into practical is correct, right?
Yes.
So perhaps to advise, while we talk about climbing the corporate ladder, there are many young professionals today, they aim to do so, to work up the corporate ladder itself. What would you advise is a top 3 behavior, right, that instantly makes senior leaders notice you or hand you bigger scope?
So for me personally, right, the qualification will basically get you through the door. But what actually differentiates you is basically your behavior and your passion to learn. The ability to be able to be teachable and to show that you are able to make progress. It's okay to fail in the early days, because if you don't fail, you will not know how you are going to actually correct yourself. And also the ability to accept failure at a young age actually helps you grow in your career in leaps and bounds, I would say, because it will help you be more careful in the future. And it makes leaders also start to recognize you that, oh, this person actually doesn't quit easily, and they are able to bounce back up. And the next thing, of course, your work definitely will speak for itself. So besides creating visibility and networking, which I am very pro on, but I would say if you are not able to do your work well, that defeats the purpose. So it has to come hand in hand. You have to do your job well, and then of course couple it with the networking.
Action speaks louder than word,
Exactly.
not just going out to social, but not getting your job done. What would you advise is a fastest way for promotion in a finance perspective, and as well as the slowest way? Like, what would people do to slow down their promotion?
So definitely for promotions, first mastering your business and the know-how of your exact job that you need to do. Once you're able to do that, you are able to also take on more jobs. So being proactive and demonstrating to your leaders that, you're not a person who's calculative of the hours that you're going to put in, but you are actually showing that passion to learn and wanting to do more. And that definitely gets you recognized. And a lot of leaders are actually looking out for candidates like this, because leaders are always pressed for cost savings and cost optimization. So when you have talents who are willing to do the extra, it really takes the organization to the next level. And of course, to slowing down your promotion is basically just to count your hours, work 9 to 5, and then keep demanding that you want extra money, because nothing comes free in life. You definitely need to prove your worth and the ability to demonstrate that you're contributing to the organization. Yeah.
I think work-life balance, 9 to 5, has been one of the topic that a lot of people talk to today with the new generation coming into the workforce, right?
Yes.
They have very different perspective. I think you're someone that walked the path. Could you bring us back a bit to your earlier days, like 9 to 5, work-life balance? Actually, what does it mean to you?
I think I come from a very different era. During my time in the audit, there's no 9 to 5 definitely, because when you're on projects, there's very tight deadlines. So I used to work, not to scare the audience, but typically 14 to 16 hours on a normal day, probably at least 2 times or 3 times a week. And then during peak period, it used to go longer, and sometimes over the weekends as well. So during that time, of course, for us, for me, I never really understood what was 9 to 5, or I rather never got a chance to have that 9 to 5 luxury in that sense. But I think over time, I would say now it is more possible because we have the help of technologies as enablers, with the coming in of RPAs and the AIs. So candidates or rather talents are able to bank on these tools to get to complete their transactional tasks faster than what we did. So our time, it was very manual. So, you have to put in the numbers manually and calculate everything manually. So that took time. And basically that caused the workload to go, extremely bad for us. And also the timing was very long. So I would say in this day and age, it is still possible. If you're good at what you do and you're able to use technology as an enabler, 9 to 5 is still possible. You're still able to deliver. You're still able to do more than what you should.
I think you speak about AI, Pat. I wanted to deep dive a little bit more in this. Students keep hearing about AI, or workforce keep hearing about AI that will replace process work or replace accountants. Are these real or it's exaggerated?
All right. So there's a couple of elements within the technology itself. So you have the robotic process automation, and then you have the AI, which is the intelligence platform, and then you have a lot of the elements, which is the agentic and whatnot. But so the difference is that what these tools, or rather the technology, is able to do is to automate the transactional tasks. So what they are allowing finance folks to do is to concentrate on more core areas where you're able to use your skills, your analytical skills, problem solving, critical thinking to demonstrate, the accounting knowledge that you have, and basically telling a story of the numbers that you're working on. In those days, that's where I say you have to spend a lot of time churning out the numbers, but now the tools will churn out the numbers for you. So you need to have that ability or the business understanding to tell a story about the numbers. So you will not be replaced in that sense if you're able to have all these soft skills partnered with your basic accounting foundation.
I think AI is not to replace us, but it's to help to make our job better. I think in another way, it's also shortening the cycle of producing work, sometimes perhaps shortening the promotion as well. Right? I remember I heard this term somewhere online saying that back then it took people 30 years to become a millionaire or billionaire, but today the world is able to produce millionaire in just 5 to 10 years. Because of AI, it shortened the cycle of producing work, productivity, result, and talents as well. To go back a little bit on the corporate ladder that we climb, right? What is one harsh truth that no one talks about climbing the corporate ladder?
I think one thing that is very critical is how you manage your stakeholders. Like in the early days of my career, I never heard the word stakeholders until much later. But then the harsh truth is that, the ability to be able to create this relationship and trust with your business partners and the stakeholders, both internally and externally, is what actually gets you higher. It's not really commonly spoken about when you just join the workforce. But I think now a lot of leaders are a little bit more open to speak about this. Probably it's also the different generations that we are working through. So it used to be very top-down in the past, but now, a lot of leaders are more empathetic. And also, I think probably in my experience, I just don't want the fresh graduates to go through what I went through. So my leadership style is very different. I'm very open and transparent with them, and just to also share with them what was my pitfall so that they don't go through the same. So I think there's a lot of leaders like that nowadays, where they help talents grow faster and achieve results faster than what we did.
There's something that other than just about the harsh truth of climbing the corporate ladder in a big environment, right? Politics, office dynamics is something that it's unavoidable. Is there any professional way to handle politics but also staying authentic of yourself?
I think for me, my style is always just being ethical in everything that I do. Master your task well so that nobody could actually pinpoint things that you're not doing right. So typically, politics come in when people are jealous with your achievement and they try to pull you down. So the only way to go past that is to do your work really well, so that even though one or two people try to complain, but the masses will actually be supporting you. And at the same time, I think just remain professional so that you don't contribute to the office politics is also very important.
Yes, that's very
because sometimes, you tend to hear things and then you can go overboard. It can be very interesting, some of the topics that they share, but I think
the tea they spoil.
Exactly. But then I think just to remain ethical, and I think for me it's just to ensure that, I treat others as how I want to be treated. So I don't want people talking about me, so I don't talk about people, and so that's the way I do.
That's actually a very good attitude. But if there were attacks coming to them, right, for someone that's in a big environment, maybe not as senior, they were in a position that's a bit more challenging, maybe sometimes junior or mid-level, right? How would you advise them? Should they stay quiet? Should they fight back?
So I think I was fortunate to be in multinational companies where you actually have like open forums, and they do have like speak up channels where you can actually report such incidences anonymously. For those who are being challenged in that area, they could actually use those kind of channels. But if it gets too bad, and if let's say your line manager is also involved, then definitely look for another job, because it's more toxic than you can handle. And ultimately, your promotion and your career growth depends on your line manager as well. You know, there's a saying where people actually change job because of their line manager. So, I mean, I would say safeguard your relationship with your line manager, which is very critical, and that would actually help you grow within the organization. Yeah.
I think having open conversation internally is important as well, right? Not
Yes.
just to line managers, sometimes to experienced peers. If anyone out there that's lucky to have a very great line manager, I think then conversation transparency will definitely make your career better. But
Yeah.
if someone that it's a bit more unfortunate, it's always great to have open conversation with the line manager as well. Many hiring managers are young talents themselves. They might not know certain of their action needs training. So therefore, the key of office dynamics or office politics, it's being transparent, communicate well. Anything to add on, Pat?
Yeah, definitely being transparent, and you have to go through the right channel. So if at all you are facing a situation, you definitely, your first avenue should be your line manager. And if they don't listen, then you have to go to HR and then whatever not. But I think ultimately it's just to be able to manage the expectation. As long as you know that you are delivering, your work is intact, even when you go through the next level, going to HR or whatnot, because they will definitely come and check your work. So if you have all the groundwork done well, then definitely you can take it further and you'll be able to maneuver through the situation.
One very interesting question coming to finance graduate today. The average range for their kickstarting salary is 3 to 4K. If a finance student come to you, they wanted to make 10K a month, right? In 3 years' time, what's the fastest path to get there?
Okay, so I would say typically if you are fortunate to be able to join the Big Fours or going into a GBS organization, which is a multinational, then you definitely are able to get to
Maybe
the
starting
10K
higher lah.
because your starting would definitely be within the 3 to 5,000 range, and so getting to a 10K within maybe 5 years would be still reasonable, 4 to 5 years. And then how do you actually get there is basically, like I mentioned earlier, demonstrate the proactiveness and wanting to learn, taking on more extension to your job, or looking for mobility. Sometimes, you know, just moving into high cost locations like Hong Kong, Taiwan, Singapore would also get you there faster than you can even think of. But yeah, I think this is possible.
Maybe 3 years is a bit short. I think 5 years,
yes,
it's
doable.
Yeah, doable.
Yeah.
And also explore opportunities
Yes.
in MNC organization, and with secondment opportunity around the world. I think having the exposure across various countries will also help increase your income, because income equivalent the skills or knowledge that comes together, right?
Yeah, I mean, but then the immediate gratification, if they go to the high cost areas, then definitely
Yeah.
because of the translation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Earn more but don't spend more.
Yes. So they need to decide what they really want to do with their career.
Yeah. Well, as a hiring manager yourself, what's one salary trap or career trap that candidates, talents fall into in the past and they are still falling into now?
Okay, so typically a lot of the Gen Zs, or rather the younger generation, they tend to move jobs just for rather 200 or 300 ringgit, but they do not actually look into their trajectory as a whole. So sometimes probably staying back in the current organization would have actually get them to a better place if they waited maybe another 6 months or so to see what their line manager was having for them. In most cases, I can say like real life situation where I've actually lost talents where I already started to plan their career trajectory for them, but then they were just so impatient and they wanted that 200-300 ringgit immediately
Yeah,
that
tell me about
actually
it.
that actually hijacked their growth. rather.
Yeah.
So I think it's just being patient and focusing on building skills rather than, getting quick money. Yeah.
I mean, I recruit for mass market as well. I often
Yeah.
came across this almost on day-to-day basis from my team members that you have candidates that just accepted offer for 200. I've came across 100 ringgit as well.
Yes, yes.
Just to make a move to another. Maybe in the earlier careers, it is still reasonable because I think a lot of candidates are exploring themselves, exploring their career. But when you hit the 3rd year or 5th year mark, but moving like 6 or 7 companies, right, it shows certain character in your resume.
Yes.
And when you were really ready to grow, you wanted to join an MNC, right? The hiring manager that is looking at the candidate resume will start to have doubts. Is this person someone that's willing to stay? If we were to invest in you, what's the ROI, right?
Exactly.
Well, there are a lot of ACCA students in the market today. Well, ACCA today, right, in 2026, is it still ready to take it?
Definitely. I mean, I'm still very proud of ACCA. I think it's because it gives you the international passport to go across the globe and to be able to be recognized as an accountant as compared to many other organizations or other professional bodies. And I think why I'm actually a strong advocate also, like, if for Malaysian talents, we have the right ecosystem and the support system for you to be able to grow and thrive as an accountant. And that's very critical. I'm not putting down other professional bodies, but it's just that ACCA, we have more than 21,000 people in Malaysia. And so we have a lot of talents who have actually walked the path. And so, for fresh talents, there's so many examples for you to follow. And there are a lot of them who actually move across different career paths and they have really made it in life as well. So I would say ACCA is really a great start. And the ROI actually comes as early as even your first job. Like getting into the Big Four is also already sustaining yourself in the industry. And what happens is that once you get into Big Four, a big corporation, it creates that branding element for you. So I would say the ROI then, compounds from there onwards. Yeah.
But ACCA, they cost time and they cost thousands of ringgit to go through that process, right? And there are many people that when they had that credential, they have a planned career path right in front of them. But how about people that have been through the journey more than twice and they failed ACCA? I mean, it is not a surprise that it is not an easy journey to go through, the ACCA exam, all those papers to take, and they are slowly quitters that is happening in the market. Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say never give up. It is normal to not pass in the first sitting, and there are typical people who have actually sat more than twice even. But I would say just never give up. Probably just change your strategy of learning and also to understand the paper. So if you need to have mentors or tutors, then do yourself a favor to do that. Because ultimately getting through the professional papers would actually open doors for you, as I mentioned earlier. And I mean, it's also a starting part where you actually grow your resilience and tenacity, because even when you come to the working world, nothing is easy anyway. So if you're able to push through the qualification, then you know you'll be able to push through even through working life.
Indeed. I think Malaysia today still produce one of the strongest finance landscape and talent ecosystem, right? There was 14% hiring increase for finance professional in Malaysia today. However, year-on-year basis, right, there are thousands, even more than a couple of thousands of finance students graduating, coming into the workforce. In today's market, it's finance professionals oversaturated or it's still in demand?
I would say it's definitely still in demand, but what differentiates one from another is basically the soft skills and the attitude that you carry. So if you're able to demonstrate that ability of wanting to learn and wanting to grow yourself with a growth mindset, definitely you become more attractive. And then demonstrating the ability to have soft skills. So, like when you're in school, you can actually start being active with your extracurricular activities, and that actually hones your soft skills because it sharpens your ability to critically think, lead others, and that actually becomes very sexy in the workforce because directly you actually get an advantage compared to the other talents.
Yeah. What is the latest finance trend like in Malaysian market today?
Oh, I would say I think there are critical needs across industries, be it the big four GBSs. And I mean, in Malaysia, we actually have more than 600 GBSs in Malaysia. So that's also one of the biggest critical mass needed area. And besides that, within the GBS as well, there's a lot of need of manufacturing accountants where you actually have start with FP&A as juniors, of course. So doing the costing and management accounting. So I would say across industries and across the accounting fraternity, there's still a great need, but it's just how you differentiate yourself.
I think it's a very promising future for finance professionals in Malaysia today,
Yes.
right? That not only that the market itself has a very mature ecosystem, I think a lot of foreign companies, MNCs, has confidence in Malaysians as well. Malaysian
Definitely.
market, that talents are not only just with credential, I think very, very good working attitude, and when they come into the workforce, right? And of course, that's a career growth there.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing that I would also add is that having accounting as a base helps you also become a functional talent when you actually club it together with, some technological skills, because it actually helps organization grow their technological advances. And there's a lot of deployment of ERP systems and whatnot. So if you're able to, grow into that area, you become a very niche talent and your earning power definitely doubles as well. Plus, we have also big industry in logistics and supply chain in Malaysia, so which requires finance as a background. So I would say we are still at a vantage point as finance folks in Malaysia. Yeah.
So to become a successful finance professional today, right, it's not just your technical finance experience, but as well as your communication, speaking to stakeholders like you mentioned previously, and also technology skills, like a 3-in-1 package,
Yes.
to have a meaningful jump in your paycheck.
Definitely.
Speaking
Yes.
about technology, I think earlier we talked about AI, right? To advise perhaps a finance talent today, what are the technology skills they could pick up?
All right. So if they are more technological savvy, they can actually learn tools like the RPA tools like UiPath. There are a couple of it which doesn't come to my mind right now. But then they can also go into data visualization, where you can use the Power BI, and then the dashboards, building dashboards and whatnot, because this is where you are able to demonstrate how you are able to tell a story from the numbers that you have. Going into these two areas would actually already sharpen their ability. But I think as a whole, nevertheless, companies actually can use various different platforms, but it's just that agility and the ability to be able to pick up these skills is very critical. Because if you are someone who don't like change, then you basically put a showstopper for yourself.
If you want any information of how to improve yourself, it's just literally putting your fingers on your phone and type into Google, and things will come out. And
Yes.
a lot of research to be done. Like say, it's not in the past that just purely finance operation will bring you far. It does come with a combination of communication skill and technology.
Yes.
What is one sentence that you wish to share young professionals in Malaysia today?
I would say focus on developing yourself and not running after your paycheck at the start. Focus on building your transferable skills, or rather the soft skills, which is the communication, stakeholder engagement, and critical thinking. Because then no matter what tools come, you would be able to apply your knowledge to whatever work that you are given to. And then lastly, be authentic and be ethical in everything that you do. Because I think across industries, across any portfolio, that is actually something that is getting to be very in demand, because with technology, everything is becoming more transparent. And so if you don't have ethics as a base, it is actually going to be very difficult for anyone to advance. Yeah.
So if anyone that's listening to this moment, right, and you are interested, you can search out Dr. Patricia Francis LinkedIn, DM her.
Yeah, happy to support anyone actually. I think that's also something that I'm very passionate about, is people development and capability development. So I'm actually really open to also groom mid-layer management, because sometimes you advance in your career because of your job, but nobody actually invests in grooming you as a leader. And so that's something that I really put pride in, because I don't want the new talents to actually be abrupted in their career because of this mid-layer management. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sharing today, Pat. It's very, very insightful, and I do hope that the ACCA professionals in the market today and all the finance professionals would be able to hear out Pat's journey here. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.